What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the J Mass Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jose, and on today's episode, we have another 2024 NFL scouting report. And today we have LSU wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. I'm a big fan of Brian Thomas Jr. I know a lot of people really are not high on this guy the way I am, but y'all, I'm telling you, I think this dude is going to be a big play threat waiting to happen in the NFL. So let's get into it. So, wide receiver, 6'4", 205 pounds. His 2023 stats, 68 receptions, 1,177 yards, 17 touchdowns, 17.3 yards per catch. So, y'all, let's get into the strength. So, I think his first strength is that this dude is a vertical threat. I mean, y'all, probably the best vertical threat in the entire draft class. And what is so crazy is that he's 6'4", but is really fast, y'all. He's really fast, and he can get down that field. I mean, this dude can really move, and he gets down that field, y'all. And my goodness, I mean, he just absolutely terrorizes cornerbacks play after play because you are so scared that this dude is going to get by you. And so many times this year, man, him and Jayden Daniels, y'all, they kept hooking up with each other, kept connecting with each other on deep passes. Jayden Daniels, you know, he has a really good arm, very good deep ball thrower. And Brian Thomas Jr. is an amazing vertical threat. He can get down that field. And, man, this dude is very explosive. You look at his neck strength, y'all, his size and his length, 6'4", and I cannot wait to see him at the combine. I know his arms are going to probably be very long, but 6'4", y'all, only 205 pounds, and he's a skinny 205 pounds, but still a big target, big guy. Like I said, his length, y'all, his long arms, he uses that a lot. And that kind of helps him get by wide receivers. Since he's not a great route runner yet, he uses his size and his length to really get by receivers. And with his speed, I mean, it's just this dude is going past you within a couple of seconds. You look at his neck strength, y'all. He is great at slant/corner routes. And right now, this is really Brian Thomas Jr. This is really him in a nutshell. He's a slant guy. He runs corner routes, and obviously he runs deep routes. Go routes, but that's really what he does right now. He's amazing at slant/corner routes, and the reason that he's so good is particularly when y'all look at slant routes, right? Slant routes, very simple, but sometimes slant routes can get cornerbacks can lock you down on a slant route depending on the kind of receiver you are. But since Brian Thomas Jr., he's so tall and he's so athletic, and he knows how to use his length. When he runs a slant route, y'all, he can take that slant route and turn it into like a 60, 70-yard touchdown. I mean, that's just how a great guy he is at running slant routes. He's also very great at running corner routes, and obviously we know he's great at running deep ball routes, go routes. But I think this is where he really does his most damage is when he's running these slant/corner routes, and he just absolutely, like I said, y'all, he demolishes cornerbacks play after play, particularly on these routes. You look at his neck strength, y'all. He has amazing speed. I mean, this is a guy that I think will probably run 4.41, 4.42, 4.43, somewhere in that range. Incredible speed. Man, you got a dude that's 6'4", you normally, y'all, a guy at his size should not be able to run as fast as he runs, but this dude has a great speed. Again, is he a Tyreek Hill? No. Is he a Jalen Waddle? You're going to hear me say this time and time again. No. But who really are those guys? But at his size, y'all, he has really good speed. And again, with my first string, going back to my first string, that's why I said, y'all, he's a big vertical threat. Because of his speed, he can just get by cornerbacks play after play, and they have nothing. They have no answer for him at all. Look at his next string, y'all. He is good at tracking the ball and catching it. You look at when LSU played against Army, and there was a play in that game where Jayden Daniels, he kind of underthrew the ball, just a little bit, he kind of underthrew it, but Brian Thomas Jr. was able to track it, he was able to catch it, boom, it was a touchdown. He did that so many times this past year for the LSU Tigers. There was some, like I said, there were some plays where Jayden Daniels did underthrow the ball, not many, but there were some plays he did underthrow it. But Brian Thomas Jr. is so good at tracking the ball and catching it, that wasn't even a problem. And a lot of times, y'all, the cornerback that was going against him, he would be out of position, but Brian Thomas Jr. would be in great position. So He was able to find the ball, catch it, take it to the house for a touchdown, or he was able to find the ball, catch it, boom, it's a first down, and the cornerback is way out of position. Brian Thomas Jr. is very, very, very good at tracking the ball and then catching it. Not just tracking the ball, y'all, but the second part, catching it. Because there are some receivers that can track the ball, but they cannot catch it because the cornerback is able to make a play on the ball. But with Brian Thomas Jr., man, most of the time the cornerback is out of position against him, and he uses his height to kind of shield them off, and he'll catch that thing. So very, very good at tracking the ball and catching it. And his last strength, y'all, this dude is a touchdown demon. Let me repeat, Brian Thomas Jr. is a touchdown demon. You talking about this dude this year, y'all, had 6 games with 2 or more touchdowns playing in the SEC. Think about that, y'all. A wide receiver playing in the SEC has 6 games with 2 or more touchdowns. I mean, that is incredible. Incredible. This means this dude has a knack for finding the end zone. He also had a game this year, y'all, against Ole Miss where he had 3 touchdowns. That, I mean, y'all, we really haven't seen a receiver do that before in the SEC. Right? We really have never seen this before. 17 touchdowns overall, but y'all, 6 games with 2 or more touchdowns. I mean, wow. You talking about he's going to get some of the best corners in the nation, and he is tearing them up play after play after play. This is incredible. 6 games with 2 or more touchdowns. This dude, Brian Thomas Jr., knows how to find the end zone. Now, let's get to his weaknesses, y'all. So, his first weakness, only 1 year of production. Now, this is really why people don't like Brian Thomas Jr. Because you look at his freshman year, he only had 359 yards, 2 touchdowns. You look at his sophomore year, only 31 catches, 361 yards, 5 touchdowns. And then this year, he has this big breakout year. And a lot of people are like, well, why in the world did it take him until his junior year to finally put it all together? Well, y'all be honest. Some of that is because his quarterback, Jayden Daniels, upped his game, upped his level of play to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Now, some of this is on Brian Thomas Jr. I think when he came in as a freshman, he was really raw. Now he's pretty darn good. But, like I said, y'all, some of that is because his quarterback, Jayden Daniels, took his game to another level. So Brian Thomas Jr. was able to take his game to another level. But he only has 1 year of great production. I get it. I get why people don't like that, because a lot of times, y'all, that doesn't translate well. Sometimes, or I would even say most of the time, that doesn't translate well. But we've also seen guys, y'all, that did have a lot of production in college. You take a Corey Davis. Corey Davis had incredible production in college, but he was never able to translate that to the NFL. You see a guy like DK Metcalf. DK, the most yards he had, y'all, in college was 646 yards. That was his sophomore year. Look at it in the NFL. DK has become one of the better wide receivers in the NFL, and he had limited production in college. So I don't think this is too big of a problem, but it's the truth, though. Brian Thomas Jr. did only have 1 year production. You get his next weakness, y'all. He can be a body catcher at times. I saw this quite a few times watching him on tape. There was even a couple of times in the Ole Miss game. I know he had an incredible game against Ole Miss. 3 touchdowns in that game, 124 yards. But there was several. I saw a couple times, y'all, in that Ole Miss game, where Brian Thomas Jr. caught the ball with his chest, with his body, instead of catching with his hands. And I was like, oh, come on, Brian Thomas Jr., what are we doing, man? Because when his quarterback, Jayden Daniels, he threw him a deep pass, I feel like every time I saw Jayden Daniels throw Brian Thomas Jr. a deep pass, he would catch it with his hands. When it was like short/intermediate passes, y'all, I noticed he could tend to catch it with his body. I don't know if that's because he simply doesn't trust his hands yet, or is that because he really doesn't trust himself as being a route runner unless he's running, the go balls, the D balls. Because when he was running a go route, I never saw that. But when he was running short/intermediate routes, I saw that he would tend to catch the ball with his body instead of his hands. And that just makes me wonder, like I said, is it because he doesn't trust his hands yet? Or is it because he doesn't trust himself as a route runner yet? So that's something he needs to clean up, and I want to see him get better at that. His next strength, he was had a limited route tree at LSU. Like I mentioned earlier, y'all, really the majority of his routes were slant routes, or corner routes, post routes, and then go routes. That was really it. You didn't really see Brian Thomas Jr. run a lot of routes the way a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. or the way his teammate did, Malik Neighbors. So that's something that he will need to improve and get better at, because if you're kind of like a one-trick pony or two-trick pony in the NFL, or even three-trick pony in the NFL, corners are going to realize that they're going to play you on those routes, right? And they can lock you down. So he did have a limited route tree at LSU. Again, let me repeat. Most of his routes, y'all, were slants, corners, post routes, and go routes. But he did it at an extremely high level. So we got to give him credit. Even though he has a limited route tree, the routes he did run, he did run them and do it at an extremely high level. So we have to give him that. And I think his last strength, y'all, or excuse me, his last weakness is that he needs to use his size more contested catches. Again, I mentioned earlier about his size and length being a strength of his. Well, he needs to use it more on contested catches. I think a lot of times, y'all, he will let a smaller corner kind of like out tough him, out physical him in one-on-one situations. And I don't like that, right? I don't like that because Brian Thomas Jr. is 6'4", 205 pounds with long arms. There should not be too many corners that should be able to give him problems when he's going up in a one-on-one situation, in the jump ball situation, right? He should be able to have that advantage most of the times, but I saw too many times on tape, y'all. He did not. He needs to get better at that. He needs to learn to use his size more, right? Play strong, Brian Thomas Jr., because you're 6'4", dog. Not too many corners even have the size and length that you have. So use it more to your advantage. And that's my last weakness on him. Now, y'all, let's get into his pro comparison, his prospect grade, the conclusion, and then I will be up out of here. So my pro comparison for Brian Thomas Jr. is DK Metcalf. You look at DK Metcalf coming out of college, y'all. DK Metcalf, one, he never had the production in the season the way Brian Thomas Jr. did. Like I told y'all, the DK Metcalf, the most yards he ever had in a season during college was 646 yards. Brian Thomas Jr. Just had 1,177 yards in the season. So that shows you right there. He already had better production in college and had a better year than DK Metcalf ever did. But you look at DK Metcalf, a dude that's 6'4", 230. You look at Brian Thomas Jr., a dude that's 6'4", 205 pounds. Not as big as DK Metcalf, not as strong as DK Metcalf, but both of these dudes, what, y'all? Very fast, very long, very athletic, and what, y'all? Are absolutely demons down the field, right? When you see DK Metcalf running a go route, man, that gives you a headache. And when you see Brian Thomas Jr. run the go route, that also will give you a headache. My prospect grade for him, y'all, I gave him a grade of 89, meaning he's a very good prospect and could become a Pro Bowler. I do think Brian Thomas Jr. is a top 5 receiver in this draft class. My top 5 receivers in this draft class, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr., and A.D. Mitchell. That's my top. I had to think about it. I was like, do I want to put A.D. Mitchell or Brian Thomas Jr.? I want to put A.D. Mitchell fourth and Brian Thomas Jr. fifth. But no, I think Brian Thomas Jr., I think he's a little bit better than A.D. Mitchell. But yes, those are my top 5 receivers. So yeah, I think that's a very good prospect right there. I mean, he's a top 5 player at his position, in my opinion, this draft class. So it's a very good prospect. And I do think with his skill set, he could become a Pro Bowler one day. So the conclusion, y'all, Thomas Jr. has a rare blend of size, speed, and downfield ability. His route tree isn't there yet, but if he gets with a strong arm quarterback, he will be a big play threat waiting to happen. Can you imagine, and this won't happen, can you imagine, y'all, if the Chargers took him at the 5th pick and he was with Justin Herbert, or can you imagine if he went to Patrick Mahomes, one of these guys, y'all, one of these quarterbacks, or even Derek Carr has a pretty strong arm. And I actually, in my first mock draft, I had the Saints taking Brian Thomas Jr. Can you imagine if this dude gets with a strong arm quarterback, y'all? Oh my goodness, with his speed, his size, his athleticism, he's going to terrorize cornerbacks down the field. Because I feel like for Brian Thomas Jr., especially early on in his career, y'all, he would be best suited playing with a strong arm quarterback. I think if he's playing with a quarterback that doesn't have that stronger arm, that's going to cause him problems. Because right now, Brian Thomas Jr., his biggest strength is his speed, is his downfield ability, is his go ball route running ability. And he needs to be in that kind of offense. He needs to play with that kind of quarterback. That's why DK Metcalf was able to have so much success instantly in his rookie season, because he was playing with a guy like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a very good deep ball thrower. For Brian Thomas Jr., he needs that same kind of quarterback, because right now he's not the best route runner. He cannot run the entire route tree just yet. So he really needs to be with a quarterback that can throw that thing 40, 50 yards down the field, because that's where most of his production is going to come from right now. But he does it at an extremely high level. I'm telling y'all, This kid is going to be a very, very good player at the next level. I really, really like Brian Thomas Jr. I think, y'all, this is a guy that, depending on how he does at the combine, do not be surprised if Brian Thomas Jr. ends up being like a top 12 pick. I mean, right now I have him going 14 to the Saints, but I think he could end up being a top 12 pick and maybe even being a top 10 pick. I mean, he could end up going ahead of his teammate Malik Neighbors. He really could, because I think a lot of GMs, y'all, going to fall in love to do this 6'4", that probably is going to run about 4.41, right? That has great downfield ability and is very athletic. I think they're going to love him. And I guess he needs to work on stuff. That's why I gave him a comparison of DK Metcalf, because DK Metcalf coming out of college was the same way, right? The only difference is Brian Thomas Jr. had more production in college than DK Metcalf. But I'm telling y'all, this kid has what it takes to be a very good receiver at the next level. So there you have it. That was my scouting report on LSU wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. Y'all know I'm going to end it, man. I love y'all. God bless. But before I end it, remember, follow/add me on Twitch at Zamullah Sports, all lowercase. Let me repeat, follow/add me on Twitch at Zamullah Sports, all lowercase. Remember, laughter is good medicine, so make sure you get your daily dose. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.